This is by far the world's largest ore carrier. It is loaded with 400,000 tons of iron ore. That is enough to produce steel for building 6 birds' nest stadiums. This is the world's largest crude oil tanker underway. This tanker can carry 300,000 tons of crude oil at a time. And this is the world's largest container vessel. If piled up, it's 24,000 standard containers. It will be 7 times the height as Mount Komolangma. And these 3 large ships will eventually arrive at the same port. Not by coincidence, but by the fact that in here we find the largest iron ore terminal in China, the largest crude oil terminal in Asia, and the second largest single container terminal in the world. This is currently the world's largest port in terms of cargo throughput. It is the first and the only superport in the world that has an annual throughput volume of over 1 billion tons. Till 2021, its cargo throughput exceeds 1.224 billion tons. Because of this capacity, almost all types of ships from all over the world have docked here, making it the world's busiest port for entering and exiting large and mega-large carriers. Why was such a superport born in Ningbo and Zhoushan? And with such traffic demands for mega ships, such volume for transportation, and such complexity of shipments? What makes it capable of operating 24/7 all year round? Let's follow these huge vessels to find that out. A 400,000-ton giant bulk carrier like this is currently the world's largest of its type in service. Even throughout China, there are only 11 berths in 8 ports that can accommodate such a huge carrier. And Ningbo Zhoushan Port is the only port with 3 berths. The reason why it can accommodate such a huge vessel is hidden beneath the water surface. Take this 400,000-ton bulk carrier, for example. It has a full draft of more than 20 meters. Without sufficient water depth, it will never be able to dock, nor even be able to enter the port. Here are the essential conditions to become a super port: deep water berths and deep water channels. In Ningbo Zhoushan Port, there are more than 100 large and extra-large deep water berths, and with deep water channels of more than 22.5 meters in depth together, they allow 300,000 tons of carriers to sail with ease. Even for ships up to 400,000 tons of weight, all they need is a high tide to float them into the port. So how to build such a large scale of deep water berths and deep water channels? Obviously, this level of a mega project can rarely rely solely on human labor. Fortunately, millions of years ago, nature had already gifted this place with a unique feature, the Zhoushan Islands. When we look down from above, we can see the feature of the largest archipelago in China. In fact, these islands were once rolling hills on land. However, they later submerged into nearly 1,400 scattered islands after the frequent rise and fall of the sea. Water flowed faster within these straits, so it became difficult for sediment to deposit on the sea floor, creating an excellent deep water environment. Thus, piers were built along the shore, and with the distribution of islands, a total of 19 port areas, large and small, together they formed a natural shelter-like deep water port group. It sits northeast of Zhejiang Province, the intersection of Yangtze River, Qiantang River, and Yong River, a true terminal that connects the Yangtze River Delta and the Pacific Ocean. However, this port is not the end of this global transportation. All those ores, crude oil, containers, and other goods will eventually leave and travel to where they make their true value. They will be made into products which are demanded by the consumers: smartphones, clothes, laptops, furnitures, cars, you name it. So, how should such a global cargo relay be accomplished? Let us take a look, shall we? What if you are a buyer from a Wuhan iron and steel factory, and you need to ship 20,000 tons of iron ore from this terminal? Which type of transportation would you choose? By truck or by train? Actually, the most cost-effective transportation is by water. Ningbo Zhoushan Port is adjacent to the entrance of the Yangtze River, where the shipments are offloaded and then transferred by smaller ships directly into the Yangtze River, delivered to various cities along the Yangtze River. This is river-sea coordinated transport. This is how more than 50% of the iron ore and 90% of the oil products are transshipped on the Yangtze River every year. Of course, besides the Yangtze River, there are also inland rivers such as Qiantang River and Yong River, which are all capable of water-to-water transit. But even so, not all destinations can be reached by ships. We also need new channels. For example, building railroads into the ports. This is the sea rail coordinated transport. Usually, the trucks used for container transfer in ports can only load 2 TEU at a time, but these trains can simply take up 100 TEU at a time. Efficiency had made a great improvement. For example, the railway that connects Ningbo Zhoushan ports with Jinhuaiwu. Since its establishment, 1 million TEU out of the 1.2 million TEU are exported from the world's largest commodity market every year. This will be shipped from Ningbo Zhoushan port to the world. Once the loading is completed, these carriages will be taken by a locomotive to the railroad outside the port and travel to all regions of the country. Today, there are 22 sea rail coordinated trains which have made their departure from this port, covering a total of 62 cities, as far as Tibet and Xinjiang, ranked at the forefront of the country's intermodal business. However, this is not all. There are also some very special shipments. Here is the crude oil tanker that has just entered the wharf. At this moment, it is quietly docked on the pier, and all we can hear is the sound of the waves lapping against the shore. It is hard to imagine that in such quiet, 58,000 tons of crude oil are rushing into the port at a speed of 1,500 cubic meter per hour. But they will not be transported by trucks, trains, nor ships, but by these pipes. They are connected to the pier on one end and to these huge storage tanks on the other end. The majority of them will soon be delivered directly to other cities like Nanjing and Shanghai through pipelines. By this point, you will find that except from air transport, literally every means of transport, be it land roads, railways, ships and pipelines, all you can think of are converged in this one port. However, to unleash the true power of all these hardcore facilities and grow into a scale that handles the world's largest cargo capacity, an even more efficient and perfect collaboration is needed. Let's go back to the beginning, the world's largest container vessel. This massive container vessel is waiting to enter the terminal. But from this moment on, this collaboration has already begun. These people on the ladder are the maritime pilots of the Ningbo Zhoushan port, the ones who are most familiar with the area. They are familiar with every terminal, every channel, and every berth here. They are the only ones who can navigate this huge vessel under the protection of the Maritime Safety Administration to cross the busy waters and dock at the right berth. At the same time, together with the maritime pilot's instructions and these tiny tugboat, much smaller in size compared to the container vessel, will they be able to pilot the giant vessel. For a vessel with length up to 4,000 meters, it needs at least 4 tugs to be deployed at the same time at its different positions to accurately adjust the angle and speed, so that these multi-ton giants can dock safely at a speed of only 3 centimeters per second. Next, at the dock standing 8 large cranes, lowering down their grips from tens of meters above, land accurately on 4 of the container's fist-sized holes, and transfer the container boxes to trucks that have already been waiting below. A skillful bridge crane driver can transfer a container at the optimal height and the shortest distance. It would only take 50 seconds to finish a single round of loading and unloading. With this speed, it would take less than 2 days to finish unloading the 24,000 TEU on this vessel. However, the person that finished this lifting was not on this bridge, but in a control room 4 to 5 kilometers away from here. These days, technician can finish lifting loading and unloading simply by real-time monitoring and remote operation. What works closely with the bridge cranes are the hundreds of container trucks that drive in and out. Some of them do not even need drivers. Instead, they use the 5G network and Beidou navigation satellite system. These intelligent vehicles make accurate stops and deliver offloads one at a time to the storage yard. As soon as the goods need to be picked up, these gantry cranes traveling through the dockyard will find the exact container box among the countless ones and then send it to a different destination through super channels leading in all directions. If efficiency in operation brings productivity to a port, then the near-perfect collaboration between the people and even machine and machine, completely activate the vitality of this megaport. Yet, this collaboration is still not over. When we look at a scale from Zhejiang, we will find that this megaport joints with Jiaxing, Wenzhou, Taizhou, and other city ports, constituting the busiest coastline of this major economic province. If we look at a scale from China, this megaport together with other seaports from 14 coastal provinces will complete the world's largest marine transportation. And if we look at a scale from the globe, it is these seaports, various in sizes and capacity, that provides the possibility to complete 90% of the global trade through countless shipping routes. That is why whenever we see a vessel carrier depart and fade into the vast ocean, it is never a farewell, but a deep connection across countries, continents and seas to faraway places that we cannot see, connecting countless markets, factories, farms, and livelihood of many people.